Clomp, clomp. Every time I walk, there's always a loud sound. Since I was young, I've suffered from a condition where one leg is longer than the other, known as hemihypertrophy. Because the leg length discrepancy had to be corrected, I always had to wear a bulky orthotic device. I was always the last to move between classes at school, and instead of walking with friends, my mom always had to drive me to and from school. Even though everyone else seemed to be having a lot of fun, I couldn't join in. The number of times I've clenched my teeth in frustration was too many to count. Fortunately, the treatment went well, and I was able to get rid of the device in middle school, but the bullying I faced in elementary school left me introverted. Until I became an adult, I lacked confidence in myself and was terrible at talking to people. But a turning point for me came. I was the sort of person who was always nervous and was bad at speaking, so it was unexpected that I was assigned to the sales department. With the help of my senior colleagues, I gradually started to enjoy conversing with people and began to gain confidence in myself. Then, one day, I received an invitation to an elementary school reunion. Feeling more positive, I decided to take the plunge and attend the reunion. I sent an email to the organizer and let him know that I was coming. My name is Michael. I'm 27 years old, working for an IT company. I moved from my hometown to New York and haven't been back home for a while. I was really looking forward to this reunion in my hometown, and uncharacteristically, I even bought new clothes for it. I knew it was just silly pride, but I wanted to show everyone how much I'd changed. This feeling most likely stemmed from my old inferiority complex, and I was well aware of that. But the fact that I wanted to surprise everyone was an enormous step for me, and a sign of my growing self-confidence. On the day of the reunion, full of determination, I headed back to my hometown. The hometown I hadn't seen for a while was bustling with life, especially at night. Was it always this lively? I was slightly surprised to see the town had changed. I walked towards the reunion venue, occasionally checking my phone for the exact location of it. Entering the pub, which was the venue, I noticed it was already full of my old classmates. Although they were all my classmates, I only knew them from school. It had been over 10 years since I last saw them. Few faces looked familiar, but even my own memories were vague. Is that him? Could she be? As I made my way through, someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder from behind. Michael, right, long time no see. I heard you moved to New York. How have you been? As if that was a signal, everyone turned around, and I was quickly surrounded. There were those who were unrecognizable with the glasses on, those who had grown taller or put on weight, and even some who were already concerned about thinning hair. Every face was filled with nostalgia and warmth. No one mocked me. In fact, most people I spoke to had something kind to say, and even if it was just flattery, I felt elated. They said that I became cheerful, that I looked totally different. Some even called me handsome and said I looked cool. I was flattered by all the compliments, except for the last one, which to me sounded like an old insult. For someone who used to be called nerdy and introverted, I was doing well and now part of everyone's circle. I believe it was because of the experiences and confidence I gained in the workplace. Trying to maintain my composure, I was actually overwhelmed with happiness. Of course, it wasn't just the guys. A big part of why I felt so good was because even the girls started to see me in a new light. Back in elementary school, I was quiet, keeping a low profile in class, so being surrounded by so many girls made me feel like I was in a dream. I wish I could show this to my younger self. That was what I thought to myself several times since arriving at the venue. Holding a pint of beer in my hand, I was happy to reconnect with familiar faces. But honestly, there was one girl I especially wanted to see at this reunion. Her name was Ashley, a girl who was the belle of our class. With her wide eyes and silky hair, she was a very pretty girl and looked like someone you'd see on TV. Moreover, she was calm and kind, and treated everyone the same way. During my school years, she was always on my mind. She was the only person who cared about me and came to talk to me as I had no friends. Her kindness kept me from becoming chronically absent from school, and gradually, the bullying towards me lessened because of her. To me, she was nothing short of a lifesaver. I wanted to see Ashley again, so I could express my gratitude for her kindness. I casually looked around, desperately searching for her. Amongst the high-pitched voices of women exclaiming, "Long time no see, and what have you been up to?" I heard someone call out, "Ashley." I turned around in a hurry, and there, among a group of girls, stood a woman in a navy dress with her elegant back facing me. Judging by the familiar silhouette, I thought it must be Ashley. Even from behind, her aura was distinctly different from the others. I caught my breath, hesitating to approach and speak to her. Then suddenly, she flipped her hair and turned around. It was Ashley, no doubt about it. She had maintained her youthful features, and if anything, had grown into an even more refined and beautiful woman. "Michael, Ashley, long time no see." I walked up to her, and I stood face to face with Ashley. But standing in front of her, I felt a sense of discomfort. Although hidden by her hair, I could see scars from burns stretching from her face down her neck. They extended to her hand holding a glass of wine, significantly marring her once perfect appearance. She must have been in some kind of accident since we last saw each other. Trying not to stare at her scars and hoping Ashley didn't notice, I forced a wide smile, and Ashley responded gently, "It's been a while, have you been well?" I could tell she knew what others thought of her physical condition. Yet, her attitude of enduring and accepting the curious stares was admirable, and she was the same Ashley I had fallen for back then. I can't believe she came to the reunion looking like that. She looks like a monster, so creepy. I couldn't bear it if I were her. Cruel whispers reached my ears from behind. Turning around, I saw a few girls speaking ill of Ashley in barely audible voices. Ashley, hearing them, remained composed and calm. She was probably used to such situations. I couldn't believe how cruel those girls were. They used to be her close friends back in the days. Were they feeling satisfied by Ashley's altered appearance? A pang of pain and rising anger welled up in me. How can you say such awful things? Ashley hasn't done anything wrong, has she? Don't pick on my fiancé, please. My protective instinct led me to say something outrageous. My fiancé, wasn't there a better way to say it? Regretful, but it was too late. There was no turning back now. What? We weren't even talking to you. Why don't you leave us alone? The girls retorted dismissively, and then drifted away like the receding tide. Ashley, relieved to see them go, yet seemingly apologetic for causing me trouble, looked at me with an indescribable expression. She looked sad, frustrated, and embarrassed. Seeing her like this made me feel uneasy. "Let's step outside for some fresh air." Ashley looked up and whispered in a voice so soft that no one else could hear. I thought it was a good idea. I nodded silently, and we both slipped away from the reunion. Once outside the pub, under the cold winter sky, the full moon seemed higher and more beautiful than usual. We found a park nearby and sat down on a bench together. Every now and then, a cold breeze blew, and I hurried to find a vending machine to buy 2 warm drinks. Ashley had been silent since we left the pub. Trying to change her mood, I brightly offered her a drink. "Here, would you like some warm coffee or cocoa?" She thanked me and chose a can of coffee, holding it in her hands to warm them without opening it. "Sorry about earlier, I went too far. I just wanted to shut them up, so I impulsively called you my fiancé. I didn't even understand why I called her like that." Being in an unfamiliar situation might have made me feel more tipsy than I thought. As I was puzzled, Ashley finally looked up. "Michael, you really surprised me. We haven't seen each other in over 10 years, and suddenly we're engaged. But I was happy you defended me against the backstabbing. Thank you, really," Ashley said, smiling brightly. I was expecting to be scolded, but instead, she thanked me and smiled happily. I was even more confused, but her kindness was just like it was back in elementary school. Always cheerful, considerate, and not taking things negatively. Her unchanged strong spirit reassured me, and I wanted to know what happened to her. Sensing my thoughts, Ashley began to speak hesitantly. "Michael, I need to tell you about my scars. A few years ago, the cafeteria where I worked caught fire, and I got these injuries then." She brushed her hair aside, showing me the scars. She explained that there were more scars hidden under her clothes. Even in the dim moonlight, I could see them clearly, and I almost wanted to look away. In that fire, a senior co-worker who tried to protect me died. As the building collapsed, she shielded me with her body and got me out. Ashley tearfully spoke about that time. She said she'd still dream about the fire, waking up from nightmares and not being able to sleep afterward. "Every time I see my scars, I remember the fire vividly. I used to be afraid of people seeing them, but now I'm just grateful to be alive. I have to live strongly for the person who protected me from the fire. It's only recently that I've started to think positively about what happened." I didn't know what to say. Despite the misfortune, she was living with such determination. When I was teased and mocked for my disability, I was always thinking negatively about myself. But Ashley was moving forward, trying her best to face reality. "Ashley, you're an amazing person, just like you were back then." I spontaneously expressed my feelings. "In elementary school, your willingness to treat me normally encouraged me. I thought I could repay you today, but I guess I still have a long way to go." As I said this, Ashley suddenly burst into tears. "What have I done?" I hurriedly offered her a handkerchief. "I'm sorry for crying all of a sudden. Even though I try to think positively, sometimes I wish I could go back to my old self. So when you said I hadn't changed, it made me so happy." "Thank you," Ashley said, smiling through her tears. Her face, now calm, was as bright and cheerful as I remembered from the past. I felt relieved and reflected on my own past. Me, wearing an orthotic device, limping as I walked. Ashley would carry my textbooks and bring me school lunch. During lunch breaks, as I couldn't play outside running around with others, she would stay with me indoors, sometimes just the two of us, playing games. "It will surely get better." Ashley was the only one who ever said such things about my leg. Even when I was cynical and sullen, she encouraged me, telling me about the places we could go to once my leg treatment was over. Ashley was always there for me, offering encouragement and support. She was the reason why I'd been able to avoid pessimism and make it this far in life. Now, it was my turn. I wanted to be the one to support Ashley, like she did to me years ago. I made up my mind. "Hey, Ashley, if you're okay, would you like to go out for a meal sometime? I'd really like to see you again." To be honest, I'd never asked a woman out before. But I had nothing to lose. I thought I should just express all my feelings towards her. "Are you sure you're okay to go out with someone with big scars? Wouldn't you rather ask out someone pretty?" Her response could be taken as a no. But for me, it was more than enough. I responded, "It's fine, I'm free all the time anyway," revealing my lack of dating experience, and Ashley chuckled. Seeing Ashley laugh out loud for the first time in a while filled me with joy. After that, we started seeing each other more often. Surprisingly, Ashley had also moved to New York and was working while saving up for skin regeneration treatment. Our dates were simple, often just eating the lunch Ashley made in the park. We couldn't afford to go to expensive places, but seeing Ashley's modest and diligent side just made me happy. We were drawn to each other and naturally started dating. The incident at the reunion, and also the fact that we came from the same town, played a big part, but we never explicitly said let's be together or directly expressed our feelings. It just became natural for us to spend time together. The reason why I became aware of how our relationship was progressing was that I started to seriously think about marriage. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Ashley. No matter what, I wanted to be there for her, who always brightened my life with her cheerfulness. Also, from a financial perspective, it made more sense to live together rather than separately. That was how I came to think about our future. And then it suddenly hit me. I hadn't even told her about my feelings for her. I was pretty sure we were in a relationship, but I'd never directly said I love you, and I also wondered how Ashley felt about me. This sudden insecurity overwhelmed me. Given that this was my first ever relationship, I didn't really know how to deal with my feelings. But I needed to find out if Ashley and I were on the same page. One weekend, as usual, I was waiting for Ashley in the park when she appeared, slightly flustered, as if she thought she was late. "Sorry I was late," Ashley apologized, and I told her that she wasn't late at all and that I arrived early. "Hey, how about we go somewhere else for a change? Maybe to a department store or something." "What? But I made lunch for us," Ashley replied, surprised by my suggestion, opening her bag to show me the sandwiches in a plastic container and soft drinks. As I suggested we eat the lunch on the rooftop of the department store, Ashley sensed the unusual atmosphere and became tense, asking, "What's going on? Why the sudden change?" I scratched my head, took a deep breath, and confessed, "I want to get you a ring. It would look cool if I knelt down and pulled out a ring, but I have never been to a jewelry shop and don't even know what size of ring I have to get for you. I apologize, everything seems to be out of order, but I want to marry you, Ashley. Right now, I want to go to the department store to buy a ring for a proposal." When I finished with what I wanted to say, Ashley froze, her mouth agape, then suddenly started laughing. I knew it was awkward and deserved the laughter. But seeing Ashley laugh through her tears, I gradually became annoyed. I was about to say, "Stop laughing," when I realized Ashley was actually crying. "Crying while laughing," she said, "too late." For a moment, I didn't understand what she meant. "You already said I was your fiancé." As soon as I heard those words, I instantly calmed down and apologized, "Sorry to keep you waiting." After that, we officially became husband and wife and started living together. With our finances more stable, I was able to get Ashley several surgeries. Thanks to her enduring the tough treatments, the scars from her burns have become much less noticeable. "Now I can finally wear a wedding dress," she said with a smile. Every time I see Ashley's happy smile, I feel truly fortunate to have met her. Poor people should just wear work clothes to parties. Don't bother with a suit, just come in your construction outfit. I was overwhelmed by such arrogant words. Just because I work in construction, I was looked down upon. Forget it, I shouldn't have even bothered talking to you. I didn't want to ruin the atmosphere at our reunion. Unable to ignore what was said, my best friend suddenly interrupted the conversation. "My name is Brandon. I'm an only child with no siblings. Ever since I was young, I've never been one to seek the spotlight. Rather, I've always wanted to support others. My father, Michael, runs a small-scale construction company. Though modest in size, he provided enough so that my mother and I never lacked anything, allowing me to attend college. Construction involves a diverse range of projects closely linked to everyday life, such as railways, ports, airports, roads, tunnels, bridges. dams, and river management. This profession often deals with transportation infrastructure. My father continued this work from my grandfather's time, specializing in bridges and river management. "Brandon, that bridge over there, I built it," he would say, taking me to see the bridges over rivers since I was a child. There are all kinds of bridges. They connect people, building bridges that make life more convenient and bring smiles to people's faces. That's my purpose in life. As I grew older, I began to understand and admire my father's words and his work. Railways, roads, tunnels, none of these can be improved without someone proposing and building them, relieving inconvenience. I wanted to understand people's inconveniences and address them, bringing smiles to their faces. My father's approach to his work was profoundly simple. In college, I studied business and did fairly well. When it came time for job hunting, I told my parents this: "I'm thinking of helping Dad after I graduate. I want to work at Thompson Construction." My parents were shocked and exchanged glances. "Why give up job hunting? Why not try something new?" My mother said. "Our company is in a tough spot, getting fewer jobs in these times. It's been better than expected until now, but the future of a small family business is uncertain," my father added. I expressed my feelings. "I know it's tough. My personality doesn't fit following the same path as everyone else. I feel compelled to help out. In gratitude for all the support I've received, watching Dad work has naturally led me to this decision. Remember, these are tough times." Yet, Thompson Construction, inherited from my late grandfather, is my legacy. As the only son, I feel responsible for its future, good or bad. My parents were moved to tears. After graduating, I joined the family business, Thompson Construction, to assist with construction work. While my friends were busy job hunting, I spent my time in the university library, studying for construction-related qualifications. My university friends had their opinions. Brandon's helping with his family's construction work. If he had properly job hunted, he could have gotten a decent job. Graduating from college to become a construction worker, he took the easy way out by taking over the family business. The easy way out, well, there's some truth to that. While everyone else was working hard at job hunting, I was the only one cooped up in the university library. What others said didn't matter. I had decided my future. For better or worse, it was up to me. Honestly, I didn't care about the rumors of who landed jobs at major corporations or fast-growing companies. Studying before joining a family business was my form of job hunting. After college, I joined the 20-employee Thompson Construction and learned the ropes mainly from my father. On the construction site, in the office, and even at home. There was so much to learn that the only time I could really relax was during lunch breaks. I constantly thought about how to compete with larger and smaller companies, improving monthly sales. But as my father warned, it's a tough world for small family businesses. It's a world of survival of the fittest. I spent a lot of time analyzing when things weren't going as planned. At one point, I asked my father about my doubts. "Dad, our company excels in bridge and river management, but what if we expanded our scope in transportation infrastructure? If we spread ourselves too thin, we'll struggle with manpower. It's the people who make things happen. Expanding too much can incur unnecessary costs, not to mention the technical aspects." "I see. It's complicated, isn't it? To expand our operations, we'd have to open offices beyond our county. We've been a community-focused business, trusted by the locals because of our personal touch." "Right, that's the core of our business." Determined to promote what our company excels at, I hired a design firm to create a website and also started using social media to spread information, becoming a bridge that connects people. After a day's work, I'd return home and study for construction-related qualifications. Earning these qualifications would broaden my ability to build bridges that connect people. That's it, I'll become the bridge. I believed and put in more effort than ever before. Time flew since I started working with my father. 6 years passed in the blink of an eye. One day, I received a letter at home. It was from my high school best friend, David. I wondered what it was about. The alumni reunion of Cedar Grove High School will be held on the 3rd of May. Please join us. So, it's been 10 years since we graduated from high school. I wonder how everyone from the basketball team is doing. Throughout middle and high school, I was part of the basketball team. I worked hard as a regular player and as the vice captain. David was the captain back then. An invitation to a reunion from such a relationship. David organizing it, that's exciting. Oh, I wonder if the team assistant will be there too. I don't really want to see her, but I'll avoid conversation if she is. The awaited May 3rd arrived. The reunion was a standing party, renting out an entire floor of a hotel. There were 360 alumni and our respected teachers in attendance. Even the principal graced us with their presence. Seeing everyone in suits, dresses, and flawless makeup, I realized how much people can change. Everyone looked so mature. I should have bought a new suit for this day. I'm always in work clothes, rarely in a suit for business. Even though I tried picking out the best suit I had, it was clear that I was the only one looking outdated and unfashionable. Hey, Brandon, how have you been? David, long time no see. Why are you dressed like a hotel manager? Heh, I'm the manager of this hotel. Normally, you couldn't rent this room for a party. You're managing the place. That's amazing. This is the Phoenix room, right? It's as splendid as its name. The participation fee was low, right? I managed that. Thanks for that. David, the popular captain of our high school basketball team, had become the manager of a hotel. Surrounded by women, he was as popular as ever, playing the part well. Everyone, enjoy the special buffet course we've prepared. The women were excitedly chattering. David always knew how to please and had a knack for understanding women. That's something I couldn't do. I'm envious. Hey, Brandon, the female team assistant is here. Really? I didn't really want to see her. What? Getting shy? Oh, there's our team assistant. Hey, Emily, Brandon's over here. Keep him company. David, wait a second. I found myself face to face with Emily, the team assistant of our high school basketball team, whom I wasn't too keen on meeting. Since my sophomore year in high school, Emily and I were dating. We attended the same university and even the same department. Our relationship lasted for 6 years until we graduated from college. Emily's mother was the CEO of a well-known domestic apparel company. She was the only daughter of this successful CEO, essentially a business heiress. Brandon, you're really dressed up today, standing out all by yourself, but in a bad way. Her sarcasm had begun. Starting with a jab at clothing, typical of an apparel CEO's daughter. Her scrutiny is always more intense than most. You're helping out with your dad's business now, right? Yeah, that's right. How are you doing, Emily? You should be more worried about yourself. Emily wasn't so haughty back in high school. She used to be kind and considerate. I fell for her personality and asked her out, but our relationship quickly cooled off during our junior year of college when job hunting began. The chill set in when I told her I was going to help with the family's construction business. Brandon, are you okay with this? I made my choice, so yes. You're going to help with a small, family-run business that might not even survive. Do you realize you'll end up as a construction worker? What's wrong with that? Emily, you're going to help with your family business too, right? The only difference is the scale. I'm thinking about the future. After that, Emily often looked down on me. It became tough to continue the relationship, and considering our futures, I ended things near the end of our senior year. Over 6 years had passed since then, and now here we were, meeting again at the reunion, having had no contact in the meantime. Even by your clothes, it's clear you've had it tough. Really, I thought I managed pretty well with what I had at home. Brandon, you're always so plain. Your everyday life, your clothes, your job. Maybe so. I guess plain suits me. Emily, on the other hand, is quite flashy. Typical of a CEO's daughter. She was the most dazzlingly dressed among the women here today. There was no comeback for her comments on clothing. Being usually in work clothes, are you indifferent to parties like this? I'll try to be more mindful next time. Because of such a job, even your heart is becoming impoverished. I don't think my heart is impoverished, though. Sensing my current situation, Emily continued with an even sharper tone. Poor people should just wear work clothes to parties. Don't bother with a suit. Just come in your construction outfit. What an attitude. What have I done to deserve this? Being looked down upon just for being a construction worker, and even my company's uniform, which I wear proudly, is ridiculed. To me, my work clothes are like a uniform with a number on the back. Forget it. I shouldn't have even bothered talking to you. Emily had become an even more disappointing person than when we broke up in college. I was hoping she'd become a more mature woman, but this was just too disappointing, almost to the point of tears. Emily, do you even know what Brandon is doing now? Unable to ignore her comments, David suddenly interjected. David, you don't have to say anything. No, I have to say this as a friend. What, David? You're defending this poor guy. You have the nerve to call him poor. Sure, his clothes might be a bit outdated, but listen, Emily. Brandon has been thinking about turning his father's business around, revamping internal operations, starting with their own website and social media to let people know about their specialty. He's also earned multiple tough qualifications and is now even consulting for other construction companies. He's highly sought after in the industry. Really? Is that true? Emily's eyes widened in surprise. When I first joined Thompson Construction, we specialized in bridges and river management, but now we've expanded our scope to include railways, ports, and roads as well. I acquired all the qualifications I could in civil engineering. In the bridges I aim to build connected people in various ways, even leading to consultancy work. That's what my past 6 years have been about. The comment about my clothes being uncool was a bit harsh, though. I manage a hotel, just overseeing the staff on site. I can't work with outsiders or build bridges of trust with them. In these times, that's no easy feat. Emily, can you do that? Me? You couldn't, right? Brandon supported me as vice captain in the basketball team, always striving for a better team. You, as our team assistant, should understand. Emily nodded in acknowledgement. Now, Brandon is playing the role of vice captain for his dad. The more mundane the job, the harder it is. David, Emily seemed regretful for belittling others. David's words, referencing our basketball team days, were convincing for Emily, who had witnessed it all. Brandon, I'm sorry. I didn't know anything, Emily said through tears. It's okay if you've realized that now. How could I say such harsh things about being plain and poor? Let's leave it at that. I need to go thank the teachers who helped us. David quickly left the scene. It's tough being an organizer, keeping an eye on everything and maintaining the atmosphere. That's something I couldn't do. Emily and I stepped outside the venue to talk. There was an open, airy terrace outside. Quiet and just right for our conversation. We sat down at the terrace. You broke up with me in our junior year of college because you hated me, right? I was preoccupied with helping out with the family business then. I became a nuisance when I started voicing my opinions on that. You should have just told me. I didn't want to seem pathetic. Really, you're so modest. After our breakup, I focused solely on my work as a construction worker, eventually expanding into various infrastructure projects and consultancy. Ending our relationship during college might have been the right timing, in a way. I was pretending, just to you. Pretending, to me. I was thinking about the future after graduation, whether we'd have a stable life, whether the job had prospects. I was judging people solely by their status. In the end, I hurt you. It's in the past. If you've realized something, even a little, that's good enough. I'm sorry for being pretentious back then and just now. We're both clumsy, I guess. Emily broke down in tears again. I'd never seen her cry like this before. Remember when I asked you out, Emily? Huh? I mustered the courage because you were kind and thoughtful. I still believe you are at heart. There's no need to pretend or be haughty. Just be yourself. Okay, thank you. My plainness is just me being true to myself, I guess. Emily, with reddened eyes, smiled, and we returned to the venue together. The reunion was lively with performances by alumni. Thanks to David's thoughtful organization, it ended on an emotional high, the 3 hours flying by. I managed to catch up with old classmates and basketball team friends, sharing stories from our past. It was a fulfilling day. I'm truly grateful to David for all his efforts in making this day, this moment, possible. As I was leaving, Emily asked me, Brandon, are you still the same height as in high school? I've shrunk a bit, down to about 5'11". I've gained some weight too. I need to go on diet. I see, got it. Take care, see you around. Thank you for today. I couldn't come up with anything clever to say, but I did my best to express my feelings to Emily. As a CEO's daughter, she'll surely find a good husband and live happily. Our time together in high school and college is now a pleasant memory. Reunions are strange. Meeting alumni provides a lot of inspiration. Observing others helps me understand what I lack, filtering these insights through my own perspective. It makes me realize there are new worlds to discover, fueling my ambition to strive harder. Now, I must continue to work hard in my job. As a construction worker, there's much to do. I need to keep building various kinds of bridges that connect people. 3 weeks after the reunion, on a rare day off at home, my mother told me a package had arrived. A package. I wonder who it's from. The sender is Emily. The package was a gift from Emily. It was wrapped in a large box. Ah, Emily. How nostalgic, my mother commented. I had introduced her to my parents a few times, but now she was just someone from my past. Even though we had broken up, my mother seemed oddly happy. I took the package to my room and carefully opened it. Inside was a full suit set with a dress shirt. A 3-button, single-breasted suit in gray. It looked sharp. So, Emily was asking about my height for this. There was a handwritten letter inside. To Brandon, thank you for kindly scolding me the other day. This suit is tailor-made by our company's designer, perfect for business, parties, weddings. Wear it and look sharp whenever you need to. Ha, she's still looking after me. I had said I'd be more conscious about my attire, but I never actually went out to buy a suit. I could almost see Emily shaking her head at my lack of fashion sense. The letter continued. P.S. Is it possible to repair a broken bridge? A broken bridge? Was she referring to my role in connecting people? Repairing broken bridges is my specialty. I immediately called Emily's number. 2 years later, with David's help as a hotel manager, we found ourselves back at the same venue. We're turning 30. I need to find someone special too, said David. You've always been popular, David. You'll be fine. Never thought I'd be outdone by the plain Brandon. Sorry for being plain. The venue that hosted our reunion now became the setting for our wedding reception. It was a new beginning for Emily and me. The Emily I knew now was the same pure and kind-hearted girl I fell in love with back in high school when I first asked her out. As I took over as the new CEO of Thompson Construction from my father, assuming the role of captain, Emily became my vice captain and assistant, supporting me in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today for the wedding of Alex and Emily. I am overjoyed that the wedding of our beloved daughter is being held in this manner. As the speech began unexpectedly, all eyes in the venue turned to Brian, the father of the bride. I noticed the perplexed expressions of my brother Alex and his fiancée Emily, which concerned me. Could it be that an unplanned speech had just started? While worrying about this, I listened attentively to Brian's words. Then, Brian uttered something shocking. However, there is one concern I have. It's about Alex's brother. As a company executive and a city council member, I will be related to him too, but I am uneasy about the fact that he only finished middle school. It is a disgrace to our family. Brian's words enveloped the room in a heavy silence. Feeling humiliated that I was being demeaned and frustrated that Alex and Emily's wedding was being ruined, I wanted to drag Brian away from the microphone. However, my brother acted before I could. Alex took the microphone from Brian and said in disbelief, "Don't you know who my brother is? It's a big problem with you, a city council member, don't even know that. My name is Michael. In my 30s, I work for an IT company. When I mention the name of my company, people often get surprised and mistakenly think I am talented, but that's not the case at all. My father used to work for a major company, but after being laid off due to economic downturns, he succumbed to alcohol. From then on, our family life changed drastically. We sold our spacious house and moved into a small apartment, leading to a poor lifestyle. Even before I was fully aware, I had been engaged in various extracurricular activities like French and piano lessons, but those were no longer feasible. In addition to that, I couldn't even expect to get sweets when going shopping, and I had to wear hand-me-downs from my brother or clothes given by acquaintances. My mother worked from early in the morning till late at night, but due to my father's breakdown from the layoff and his subsequent drinking, our financial situation must have been very tight. I remember always feeling hungry. Despite my mother's hard work, our living standards didn't improve. My brother Alex and I, despite being children, discussed various things to alleviate our mother's burden. We never pestered for toys and shared chores like cleaning and laundry to ensure our mother wasn't overburdened. We can do much now, but when we grow up, we'll learn money and make life easier for Mom, Alex would often say to me when we were in elementary school. When Alex was in his third year of junior high, his teacher, Mr. Smith, would often visit our home to discuss Alex's future with our mother. Being a primary school student back then, I didn't fully grasp the complexity of these discussions, but it seemed like Mr. Smith was suggesting that Alex should attend a regular high school. Alex has excellent grades and will surely perform well in high school. He has the potential to pass the entrance exams of prestigious universities, Mr. Smith insisted, but Alex firmly refused in front of our mother and Mr. Smith. I have something I want to do after graduating from junior high. I clearly remember my brother saying that to Mr. Smith. I immediately understood that what my brother wanted to do was to make life easier for our mother. I'm not sure how Mr. Smith understands it, but he left that day saying, "There's still time, so please talk it over." Despite Alex's firm decision on his path, Mr. Smith seemed unwilling to give up and visited several more times. Usually, my mother would handle these visits, but on one occasion, my father, who was often out gambling or drinking, happened to be home. During their discussion, my father became furious with Mr. Smith. After that, Mr. Smith never came to our house again, which probably settled the decision that Alex wouldn't pursue high school. After graduating from junior high, Alex announced he would join the military and left home. Witnessing these exchanges and growing up seeing my brother's actions, I naturally felt the urge to think about my future and decide on a path early. I've admired my brother for always choosing his path without hesitation since I was young. About 20 years had passed since then. Since we both started working, we were busy and only met each other once every few years, but I recently received a rare call from my brother. "I have someone I want you to meet. Can you make some time?" he said. The joy I felt when I heard he was getting married was indescribable. Alex, who always put our mother and family first, was now walking a path towards his own happiness. I managed to make time and attended the meeting of both families. "I'm Michael, Alex's brother. Nice to meet you. This is Emily, and this is her dad, Brian, who is a city council member. Mom has met him, but it's your first time, right?" Following Alex's introduction, Emily, his fiancée, greeted me with a charming smile. I was happy to see Alex find such a wonderful person, and at the same time, I felt relieved that our father wasn't there. My father's unhealthy lifestyle finally caught up with him, and now he's been hospitalized long-term. I haven't seen him for many years, so I'm not sure about the specifics of how he's been living. But based on my memories, I feared he might ruin this meeting, so as much as I feel bad for him, it's probably best for him to focus on his treatment in the hospital. I thought today would be a good day, but my optimism was misplaced. As soon as we toasted, Brian started asking about our childhood. "I heard you didn't have the best environment during your school days. You must have faced many hardships, right?" As Brian looked into my eyes and asked this, I couldn't help but tense up. Despite his words, his tone didn't sound very friendly. He might not think highly of our family's circumstances. I worried that his poor impression could negatively affect my brother's marriage. Nervously, I spoke about our situation. "That's correct. We were in a tough financial situation back then and had to work together as a family to make ends meet." "Could you tell me more? It seems neither of you went to college." It appeared Brian was also concerned about our education. Indeed, having two family members who both didn't finish high school might naturally cause concern. Being a city council member, Brian would want to avoid any negative rumors. But it wasn't out of laziness or dislike for studying that my brother and I didn't continue our education. While I'm not exceptionally gifted, my brother had the potential to be admitted to a prestigious university. I tried to explain our financial difficulties as clearly as possible, without leaving a bad impression. I started working right after graduating from middle school because I decided I wanted to contribute financially to our household. My brother left home to become a cadet in the military. These were sacrifices, not choices made out of a desire for leisure or personal pursuits. Looking back, it was tough, and I wouldn't want my own children to go through the same. I wanted to convey our unavoidable circumstances, but Brian seemed unconvinced. "I'm not looking for excuses. Basically, it seems like, aside from Alex, you lacked a long-term perspective in planning your life." Being directly contradicted like that left me at a loss for words. I couldn't muster a response. Brian continued, as if to rub salt in the wound. "Logically, working straight out of middle school limits your earning potential. It's hardly different from high school students working part-time. Considering lifetime earnings, it was a short-sighted decision." I understood what Brian was saying, but I couldn't agree. At that time, my top priority was to ease my mother's burden. And I did earn significantly more than a high school student would with a part-time job, contributing a substantial amount to our household. Not only did I spend my days working part-time, but I also spared no effort in studying to increase my income. I woke up early to make time and found moments after late night shifts to significantly improve my self-taught programming skills. I had a genuine interest in the field, so the study itself wasn't painful, But affording a computer and managing household chores made it far from an easy life. Even if it was tough, if both of you were earning, you shouldn't have been in poverty. Maybe there was significant mismanagement of money. I glanced at my mother. She looked uncomfortable and was looking down. She wouldn't deny anything herself, so I spoke up on her behalf. Indeed, we did contribute financially to the household, hoping it would ease the burden. However, we couldn't make life easier for our mother. It's true that I gave money to my mother, but she couldn't reduce her working hours. There were two reasons. One reason was that my father's dependency on alcohol and gambling wasn't the only issue. He had also accumulated debt. The other was that, although I thought I was contributing financially to the household, my mother had actually been saving all the money I gave her. I discovered this when I was studying programming after my part-time job. Back then, I couldn't afford to buy a computer, so I convinced a friend to give me their old one, which were about to be thrown away, by saying, "If you're going to throw it away, give it to me." The computer was so slow that it took nearly 10 minutes to start up and often froze while I was typing. Frozen again. This is useless for studying. Frustrated by the computer's frequent crashes, I couldn't help but raise my voice in anger. My mother, who had silently approached, placed a thick envelope on the keyboard. "What's this? What do you mean by this?" Even before opening the envelope, I had a hunch about what my mother had left. It was an amount of money I had never seen before. "Spend this to buy a computer. It's your money." "What are you doing?" I gave you this money hoping it would make things a bit easier for you." My mother had saved every penny I gave her without spending any of it. Realizing that my efforts hadn't really helped my mother felt empty. Yet knowing I could now buy a computer with more than enough specifications with this money left me with mixed feelings. "This is for all the experiences you sacrificed. I'm not happy when you do such things," my mother said with a smile. Emily, who had been listening to my story, was attentively following along, occasionally sniffling. I had never told my brother this story, so he looked solemn, saying, "I had no idea such things had happened." But Brian seemed unsettled, as if something didn't sit right with him. "I'm concerned about the lack of proper communication within the household. Emily, are you and Alex able to talk things out properly?" Questioned by Brian. Emily showed a reaction as if to say she was taken aback by the rudeness. "Dad, that's quite rude. Michael has been enduring hardships and making efforts, and there are no issues between Alex and me." After being sharply rebuked by Emily, Brian, with a sour expression, stood up. "The dinner seems to be spoiled for me now, so I'll excuse myself. Goodbye." Ignoring Emily's attempt to stop him with a "wait a minute," Brian left the private room. "I'm sorry. My father is stubborn and impolite, and I apologize for any discomfort he may have caused." Neither my mother nor I contradicted Emily's words, but the dinner ended in an awkward atmosphere. I wondered what would happen next after the meeting, but Alex and Emily's relationship continued to go well, and the wedding date was set without any issues. Today is the long-awaited wedding of Alex and Emily. The ceremony was movingly conducted with blessings from the attendees, and we moved to the reception venue. Sitting at the same table as my mother and watching Alex and Emily beside me, I felt tears welling up seeing the happy couple. As the toast was made and the venue enveloped in a warm atmosphere, Brian stood at the microphone stand and began to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today for the wedding of Alex and Emily. I am overjoyed that the wedding of our beloved daughter is being held in this manner." As the speech began, all eyes in the venue turned to Brian. The perplexed expressions on Alex and Emily's faces concerned me. Could it be that an unplanned speech had just started? While worried, I listened to Brian's words. Then, Brian uttered something shocking. "However, there is one concern I have. It's about Alex's brother. As a company executive and a city council member, I will be related to him too, but I am uneasy about the fact that he only finished middle school. It is a disgrace to our family. Was he drunk? His face flushed and his speech slightly slurred. Brian's words cast a heavy silence over the venue. It's unthinkable to say such a thing on his daughter's special day. Feeling humiliated and frustrated that Alex and Emily's wedding was being ruined, I wanted to drag Brian away from the microphone. But Alex acted before I could. Alex took the microphone from Brian and said in disbelief, "Don't you know who my brother is? It's a big problem with you, a city council member. Don't even know that." "Hey, Alex, what are you talking about? Your brother is just a hopeless middle school graduate. He's a burden to society," Brian ranted. After calming Brian down, Alex addressed the attendees from the microphone. "I don't want any misunderstandings among our honored guests, so let me take this moment to clarify. Michael is a brother I'm proud of. There's no such thing as a burden to society, but please allow me to share how much my brother has contributed to society." I wished he wouldn't go on, but everyone in the venue was listening to Alex's words. I couldn't do anything but silently listen. Alex began to speak highly of my current endeavors to save face for me. Our town is currently advancing a smart city project. A smart city is a community development aimed at using cutting-edge technologies like ICT to enhance efficiency and create a more livable society. The project is moving forward in coordination with national and regional officials, including city council members. As it turns out, I was selected as one of the engineers capable of transforming society. Having worked in system development in the IT department of a major company, my achievements and skills have been recognized. My current company values my abilities regardless of my educational background, and I've been supported by many people to get where I am today, so I've never thought of myself as anything special. However, my brother praised me, lifting me up as someone who contributes to making our society a better place to live. However, it seems Brian was not aware of my brother's contributions, so as a city council member, I ask for your support, my brother said before returning to his seat. From the audience, there were envious glances towards me, accompanied by murmurs of, "Is he really doing his job as a city council member?" Embarrassed, Brian's face turned red as he quietly returned to his seat. Feeling self-conscious under everyone's gaze, I excused myself to the restroom, greeting people along the way. As if looking for me, Brian and I bumped into each other as I was leaving the restroom and heading back to the venue. Seeing me, Brian gave a wry smile. "I can't believe a middle school graduate like you is involved in our city's project. If someone like you is involved, this project might end up failing." Just as I was utterly astounded by his continued sarcasm, a voice echoed down the corridor, exclaiming, "Dad." Turning around, I saw Emily, looking stern as she was about to go change her dress. "Are you still saying such things? How much do you intend to hurt people? If you're going to talk like that, you might as well go home." Emily was visibly upset, and in her emotional state, she pushed past a stunned Brian. The venue staff tried to calm her down, but she left saying, "I don't care about Dad anymore." Leaving a shell-shocked Brian behind, I returned to my seat. Apart from Brian's unexpected speech, the ceremony went smoothly. Members of the military, colleagues of my brother, attended despite their busy schedules, and their energetic and humorous performances were a highlight. A speech by Emily's best friend, representing the Friends, conveyed Emily's wonderful personality, moving me to tears. As the ceremony neared its end, it was time for Emily's speech. Receiving the microphone from the staff, Emily looked over the venue and expressed her gratitude. "I'm truly grateful to everyone who took the time to join us today. I'm deeply touched to celebrate this special moment with all of you." Turning to my brother, she continued her heartfelt thanks. "Alex, you are the most important person in my life. Every day with you is special to me. I know your work in the military is challenging, but I'll be here to support you, so please, let's continue this journey together." After greeting the groom's family and friends, Emily turned to face her mother. she reflected on her challenging childhood, apologizing for the trouble she caused during her rebellious teenage years and for the harsh words she had spoken. "I am who I am because of you, Mom. I'll strive to be a wonderful woman like you, supporting and loving my family. Thank you, and I look forward to our future together." Emily's mother, holding back tears, nodded repeatedly. Brian seemed contemplative, listening intently, with his eyes closed. Finally, Emily paused before turning to face Brian. "Dad, today was an irreplaceable, special day for me. Yet, you spoke words that could easily hurt others, and I was deeply disappointed in you." The venue fell silent at Emily's unexpected rebuke. Brian, not anticipating to be criticized, looked pale as he faced Emily. As the entire venue watched in anticipation, wondering what would happen next, Emily bit her lip and said, "But..." Then, with tears streaming down her face and her voice trembling, she spoke. "I fought about cutting ties, but you're still my only father. I apologize to everyone, especially Michael, for the discomfort caused. Please forgive my father. Dad, please, no more shameful actions. Stay the proud father you once were." Brian nodded repeatedly at Emily's words. Then, looking towards me and making eye contact, he deeply apologized. Seeing this, Emily wiped her tears and smiled at Brian. "Lastly, I want to express my heartfelt thanks for your warm wishes and support. I'll cherish this day as a treasured memory. Thank you." Emily's speech turned the atmosphere around, and the venue erupted in applause. On the train home, I was looking at photos of Alex and Emily sent to my cell phone. A week after their wedding, they seemed to be enjoying their happy days. Looking at the photos from the wedding, I was convinced they would continue to be a wonderful couple. Motivated, I pocketed my phone and got off the train. Today's meeting will determine the direction of the project I'm working on. It's crucial to get some of our proposals accepted for the project to succeed. Taking a deep breath, I headed to the meeting venue. This Smart City initiative is in its final stages. The meeting was attended by city council members, executives from major companies, government officials, and the superintendent of education, among other distinguished members. The meeting progressed amid a tense atmosphere. When the facilitator asked for an explanation about our company's role, I took the microphone. By utilizing AI and big data, we can address the city's traffic issues and extend people's healthy life expectancy. To achieve this, we need to allocate the necessary data and budget. As I was about to continue with my explanation, pointing to the relevant pages in the documents, a clearly dissatisfied sigh could be heard. One of the city council members raised their hand and interrupted with an objection. "What's the point of all this? Older people like us can't understand all the anxiety and data talk, and what if citizens' data is leaked? I might consider it if the national government covers all the costs, but we can't use the city's budget for something the citizens won't understand." His statement, which seemed to undermine the entire project, sent a chill down my spine. Other companies and officials also seemed to sense the negative mood and looked at me as if urging me to rebut. Amidst this, Brian raised his hand to speak. "We shouldn't fear change. Society is going to evolve at an astonishing rate. For the sake of our children and grandchildren and the new generations, we need to make bold decisions. I fully support this proposal." As Brian spoke, the previously vocal council member retorted angrily, "You were against it just a while ago. Whose side are you on anyway?" Unperturbed, Brian continued calmly. "It's not about taking sides, but about choosing what's best for the citizens. To me, it seems like you're afraid of change and opposition, preferring to maintain the status quo. Everything changes, and if it must, I'd rather it change for the better." Moreover, Brian added, clearing his throat, "There's room for improvement in the budget. We can review and cut unnecessary expenses. Let's not immediately reject the idea but consider it first." No one opposed Brian's words. The meeting continued with discussions on specific strategies and content, moving in a positive direction. Later, I was called by my boss during work. I received joyful news. The Smart City project was approved, and I was to continue being involved. I was asked to work on system development for infrastructure and a health management app in collaboration with engineers from another major company, which I gladly accepted. Despite a difficult childhood, I've learned that effort is rewarded. My mother will surely be happy to hear this news. Doing well in my job might be the best way to show filial piety. With these thoughts, I proceeded with my work. About 2 years later, I received great news from Alex. He announced the birth of their first child, a healthy boy. Though I wanted to visit right away, I decided to wait a bit since newborns shouldn't go out much or get sick, according to what I read online. When the day finally came to visit, I found Brian already there, playing with the baby. "Dad, you don't need to use baby talk. It's not like you. What are you talking about?" Seeing such a cute grandson naturally changes how I speak. Watching their exchange, both Alex and I couldn't help but laugh. Observing Brian's completely different demeanor from our first meeting, I pondered the changes in him. What if Brian hadn't supported me at that meeting? Where would we be now? People in the world have been changing. If it's going to change anyway, I want it to change for the better. I found myself reflecting on what Brian used to speak those words back then and what he is. I couldn't help but think that Brian decided to change after the wedding. While I can't be sure, recalling his demeanor after Emily's speech, it seems likely. Encouraged by Brian, I held Alex and Emily's child. Though the baby's vision might still be developing, it seemed as if he could sense a stranger holding him because he wouldn't stop crying no matter how much I tried to soothe him. "What's wrong? Do you prefer Grandpa? Come here," Brian said, and the baby stopped crying as he took him. We laughed again at Brian's joyful expression. Though my current project is far from over, I'm determined to make our hometown a happy place for Alex's child. Watching everyone's smiling faces, I made that promise to myself.